Three, two, one. What is up, guys? I'm Tony Patron from All Access Crew,
And I'm local rock dubstep producer Akashic.
and welcome to the Viral Based live stream show.
We have a lot of local based artists here tonight who are contributing to the effects of the pandemic in order to deliver you the greatest virtual performance you will ever see. All these artists are here to put together a live performance in order to raise your spirits, inspire you, motivate you, or simply satisfy your boredom. Whatever you guys are looking to get out of this event, we are here for you. We are all in this together. If you'd like to support this cause, simply scroll down to the bottom of the page. You will find a large donate button. Click that link if you'd like to give back to your local bass community and support all the artists that are struggling through these hard times. I'd like to thank Blaze Entertainment, Bass Emporium, and All Access Crew for helping put together this amazing virtual event and giving this amazing experience.
No, thank you, Akashic. Yeah, guys, anytime you would like to contribute, simply just scroll down and hit the donate button. We really appreciate the support. Moving forward, we not only have an amazing EDM Orlando talent, but we also have a very special guest headlining tonight, Tampa's favorite bass artist, Lizzy Jane. Say hi, Lizzy.
Hey guys, what's up? Thank you for having me.
Thank you. No, yeah, we not only should be playing here tonight, but she's been generous enough to give us an exclusive interview about her to the viewers watching. Let's get started. You ready, Lizzy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. All right, Lizzy Jane, from what I looked at for my research about your work, one of your many popular singles is Blow Your Mind, with over 12,706 plays on Spotify and 7,806 views on YouTube. Where was the inspiration to make a song like this very successful?
So this was actually a collaboration with a really good friend of mine who I actually went to high school with. His name's Jake, but he goes by the name Substance. And he actually lives in Orlando. And we kind of separated and went our own ways when we both went to college. And he had recently hit me up like last summer. And he was like, hey, I kind of started making music. I make dubstep. I don't really know how to structure a sound, but structure a song, but here's what I've been working on. And it was like phenomenal, like really, really cool sound design stuff, like very much so there in a lot of aspects that a lot of producers miss a lot of the time. So his sound design was like super on par, and he learned from YouTube. I mean, you can learn anything on the internet if you want to learn it. It's definitely just all will-powered and like your own self-diligence and stuff. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, then why don't we do this? So I gave him a few lessons, and then in turn, he was like, hey, he shot me over this project one day. And I was like, dude, this is fucking dope. And I was like, sent that over to me. I worked on it for a little while, and I like have more of I come from rock music. So I have basic understanding of a structure of songs, even though rock music and pop is a little bit more different than the typical structure for EDM. All that it was really missing is kind of like the cohesiveness and certain things on like a mix down level. So we worked together on that, and it was really cool because I was like, here's this kid who I went to kindergarten through 12th grade with, and we were totally in different alleys of life, and he was like, yeah, I fucking love dubstep. And I was like, okay, I do too. And we made that, and then when I first started to get talking with the Cannibal crew, they were like, hey, do you have any demos right now? I sent them over a folder of probably 5 or 6 songs. And in my personal opinion, the stuff that I'm producing now is like heaps and bounds past that song, as well as the other songs that were in the demo folder at that time. And because if you are kind of familiar with the back end of an industry, a lot of times when you see songs being released, they could be potentially on the schedule to be released for 6 months to a year. And the progression between that artist in said time in the past and their present like workflow and progression at the time that they released that song is very different. So even when the song was released in December, they had that song since I think September-ish, beginning of September. So at that time, I think it was definitely the best thing that I had produced. And it taught me a lot about like traditional dubstep, because that's like as dubstep, as bro step as it gets, that kind of song. And before that, I was doing a lot more with like hybrid trap, more experimental, a little bit more down like the Wakan outlet. And after I worked on that song, I was like, man, like I love dubstep. And I like started getting into a lot of different like more technical areas of sound design and moving on from there. So now I do the experimental stuff and I do the dubstep stuff. And I've gone in more of a melodic facet where I can utilize my voice. Like I had a few releases at the end of this year around the same time as the Cannabon release that were a little bit older but more vocal infused and using my voice as like the forefront to push that track forward. So, but anyways, going back to your question, no, it was really cool. It was my first big label release, so it was really cool to be on a label of that caliber and be like intertwined with people who I've really looked up to, like Black Tiger, Sex Machine, like that whole crew for a really, really long time. They had me on for a guest mix for Cannabon Radio earlier in the year in October, I believe. And that was super, super cool. And that's kind of how that little door opened. And then I met up with the guys at EDC, and that's when we met in person before they played their set. And I got to meet kind of the crew that they travel with, because it's the three of them, and then they have their VJ, and then they have their tour manager that I think acts as either their photographer or plays another role. They're all like very multi-talented, and it was super cool. They're people who have really been in this industry for a really long time and have figured the ups and downs and have great advice to, you know, people like us who are probably going to make those mistakes, and they're there to like have you not make those mistakes. And I really like their outlook. They're super positive and they have a really good head on their shoulders. And so that's why I feel like I kind of grafted that way. But yeah, and I have some more stuff coming up with them soon. So it's cool. It opened a door that I'm really happy is open.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the very few songs that I first listened to, and you know it's kind of like my favorite, at least ever now. But you know,
I'd say it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good, thank you.
Because I've been listening to stuff for a while, and I think the first song I heard was "Your Sleep Forever" song.
Okay, yeah, with the Swarm.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is dope. And then I listened to that song, I was like, dude, she's getting better. Like this is so.
And that's cool too. Like all the time I think about like taking down my old songs because I like hate them, but I think every artist looks at it that way. But I sometimes ask like on live feeds, or I'll just like ask friends of mine, and they're like, no, like it's cool to see the improvement. Like they talk about it all the time. They're like, I can't tell you how many times I've like gone on to like Rez's page or gone under Getter's page, and I've scrolled all the way fucking down their SoundCloud to 7 years ago, and I listened to the first song they posted, and like they kept that shit up there, you know, and it sounds like shit, but like people see where you like came from, because a lot of times in my mind, like if a new artist comes on the scene and like you listen to something by them and it's not granted, they haven't been in the industry before, and they had like this isn't like their third or fourth rebrand or their third or fourth project. From past experiences, I've just seen that, you know, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. So it's cool to see that improvement. And when people are like really trying to find their sound and experiment with different things. And that's also something I'm trying to do, is not like put myself into a bubble. And that's why like I'm working on like trap stuff. I'm working on hybrid stuff. I'm working on bass house stuff. I'm working on dub step stuff, especially during this time when we have like so much time. It's really cool to explore those avenues and outlets, because I feel like long term that just allows you to stay relevant and stay creative and keep like recreating for like long-term success, instead of just like putting yourself in like this little itty bitty circle, and then like you utilize the circle and you have nowhere to go.
Exactly. Powerful stuff there. All right, so my next question. I see that you're a curator of the EXO radio series, which you read is a platform showcases up-and-coming EDM artists.
I'm literally looking at the website right in front of me on my desktop right now. Yeah. But yes, it is. It was originally called the EXO, and now it's EXO Radio. I recently kind of like stapled it to that because I'm currently setting up a platform where I'm doing interviews with my guests, and I have like them plugged on exoradio.net, and I have like all their information. So it's going to be kind of like an interview plus a mix kind of thing. And then they can like find the track list on the internet. And eventually, like we're talking to iHeartRadio right now and a few other outlets. Like I want it to be more of a radio show where like the first half an hour I play like songs kind of like, you know, Alice in Wonderland's radio, Slander's radio, like the whole Insomniacs, like 12 Planet, Swamplex, how he has the songs at the beginning and he'll talk and then he'll have a guest mix at the end. That's like ultimately like my dream for this, but I don't think I'm ever going to get out of like pushing people who are just not just getting started, but like my trajectory for the people who I have on the mix series are people who are like just starting to release on bigger labels, or they're just starting to tour, or they're just starting to do this. So it's like people know about them and they have a fan base in like a certain region or area, but not everybody knows about them. And now like a year later, we're on episode 55, comes out today at 6 o'clock. You know, we're about a year in, and I feel like people now, we have a base of people who come to the platform every week to find people who they've never heard of. And I think that's really cool because I don't think there's very many radio shows or mix series that do that on a consistent basis, where you can depend upon them to have something every week or every other week, where you can find something new about somebody. Because you look at all the serious shows and like, I mean, they're fucking awesome, but it's like all people who've made it, you know, like it's all those like big people. It's like even like Dr. Fresh's like mix series now, it's like all like massive people. So I'm trying to like eventually to have massive people on the show would be super awesome, but I feel like we're all kind of like building together. Like I'm working with artists who are just starting to get their pull, and like people like More Kismet, like Matt Doe, who are like in 2 or 3 years are going to be huge, and we're all just kind of helping each other. And then when I start working with these teams, then like their manager will be like, hey, well, you had Matt Doe on. Well, I have 6 of my other artists. Do you want to have them do guest mixes? And I'm like, hell yeah. So we're doing like exchangements like that, where it makes it easy on me because it fills my schedule up. And I know that there's going to be like a good team pushing it on the other end.
That's amazing. I mean, only time will tell, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. I'm definitely not going to stop doing it. And especially like during this time, the original reason why I started doing it was to, from my outside observations, it's I feel like sometimes when people aren't like consistently releasing music, they fall into almost like an influencer box instead of a musician box, because it's just like them posting like press photos or them posting this or them posting that, and then they'll release music like once every 2 months. So then like in that in between time, you're like, oh well, are they just like posting photos, or are they just doing this, especially if they're not like touring or doing whatever. So this was a way to like stay relevant music wise. So it was like, even if I'm not personally releasing, it's still like, oh well, like that's her show, and that's a music show that she's curated to put on X, Y, and Z. So it was a way for me to like stay consistent in that area of still staying like relevant to the music industry, and not just like being an influencer and being like an Instagram model or an Instagram whatever. So that was like my initial reason to start doing it.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Stats I see here for your festival appearances range from High Caliber in 2019, Sunset Music Festival in 2018, 2019, and in this year's 2020 lineup.
Got our fucking fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
As well as recently playing Forbidden Kingdom this following year as well. Can you describe the emotions being a part of these type of experiences?
Really cool, like kind of surreal. Like Sunset, of course, is like my home festival. I'm a resident at the Ritz Ybor. That's like where I learned how to DJ, like where I like started producing, because I was like tired of playing other people's music, and like I wanted to take advantage of that platform. And I feel like the best way to take advantage of a platform like that is to be simultaneously releasing at the same time as you're playing every week, because it's like a beautiful venue. It's a great room to test out music, and it's also like you've got these kids consistently coming back, and it gives them something to look forward to each week. I put so many of those kids who come, I mean, it's a 1700 1800 cap room, so it's definitely like a good bout of people, and like they follow my music, they follow XO Radio, so it's really cool. And like I started in 2018, I played in the little tent, and then 2019 I opened the Eclipse stage, which is the base stage, which was like the biggest stage I played on ever, which was really, really cool. And then this year I have like a later slot on the base stage. So it's like cool to see that like growth and movement in that. Forbidden Kingdom was really cool. Forbidden Kingdom was my first A to Z festival booking, and like for people who are artists on the back end, like knowing to know to like that's like a goal is to get like A to Z. Like if you can get A to Z, that's like a cool little cross off the list. It was like my first hotel ground rider kind of booking. So it was really, really sweet. And High Caliber was super cool because it was on ship. So I definitely hope to be back to that
Is
one.
there any bigger events you see yourself playing in?
So let's pretend that coronavirus isn't happening.
Right.
I have 4 other events that I'm scheduled to play throughout the summer that I haven't announced yet. I don't know if they're going to be happening, but in addition to that, I'm doing some really cool live streams like on bigger, like your platform, bigger platforms, my own platform to try and kind of make up for that. We destroyed my bedroom the other day and I recorded like 25 sets just to get it all done with. I had like a bottle of tequila on the floor because at first I was just way too uncomfortable. It's different. Like it's different than playing a show. You like look out and like you see the mirror and like jewelry on the other side of your bedroom. You don't see like people getting into it. And that's why a lot of the sets, like the set that I have for you guys tonight, like it's a little bit more of like a throwback set. It's got a lot of stuff in it because I want people to like get up and dance in their living room and like us to kind of like think about the old dubstep, think about the old trap music. So I just had like a lot of fun with it because with the ability to stream for so many people not in a certain venue or a certain area, people don't want to see you playing the same stuff every time. So like I mix in my music in every set, but every set's a little bit different. So I'm excited to share those with everyone over our quarantine period.
Dope. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you come from because like as a performer, I guess it's easier to play a show out with people because you can feed off their energy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then
And
it like, encourages you if they're getting into it, and it helps.
oh, definitely. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, I think that's why you see so few people like on the proximity live streams and the Insomniac live streams. Like, very few people are playing an hour. Like, when you take away the ability of like you as a consumer, as like a music listener or a concert goer, like you take away the visuals, you take away talking to people around you, you take away dancers, you take away all of the production, and you're left with just the DJ and the music. And it's like, to hold that focus and keep people entertained, it's almost like a lecture class. It's like you gotta be switching things around. You have to be engaged. You have to bring that energy like through the screen or you're gonna lose people. So I feel like it's like teaching me to be better in certain aspects. Like I feel like I'll have a different energy on stage when I'm back on stage because it's just like so different being in your room.
That's why what I think that the quarantine is helping the whole world grow and change in many ways, and I think helping artists grow in that particular way. You know,
I think it opens a door for so many people right now. Like I know we're not like all on the same level playing field, like obviously, but like there are so many DJs who are really just like touring, you know, they're just touring musicians and they, you know, they maybe won't release too much or they're the exact opposite and they release 2 songs a month, 3 songs a month, and they're not playing anywhere. And now it's like all of a sudden, if you can get your hands on gear and you know how to be like technologically inept to stream, which really isn't that hard, you know, you've got the same opportunity as everybody else. And I feel like you're gonna have so much new, awesome, different music from artists being created, not necessarily released during this time, but created during this time that we're going to hear over probably the next like 2 to 3 years, which is like super cool. I mean, I feel like this is something like kids will like read in history books, like not about music, but about just like everything going on right now. Cause like our world has never experienced something like this. And I feel like if it goes on for a certain amount of time, when we get up and running again, like it will eventually end. Will it end in a year? I don't know. You know, like I don't know. Will we be back on track at the beginning of May? I don't know. You know, but I feel like when it does end, depending on how long it is, our industry could operate in a very different light. And you think about like, oh, like, are all these people who are streaming, are they going to keep streaming when they start playing shows again? Are they going to keep this up? Are they going to do this? So it's like only time will tell, but like I'm very honestly technologically like inept. I know how to work Ableton and I know how to work like write music. Like that's it. So learning how to like Twitch and like code certain things and set up Streamlabs and do this and that, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? But we have it all together now. But it's cool. It's forcing me to like, and now because of like budgets and everything, like I'm making all my own art. So like this is forcing me to go into different like creative outlets and like learn so much new knowledge that now I'll have like forever.
Oh no, totally. All right. Forwarding your question with your resident at the Ritz actually.
Yeah.
You opened for several big talents over there in Tampa. One in particular was more back in September of 2019, and I think AC Aliens back in January of 2019.
Yeah. Huge names. We've had Borgor, Getter, AT Aliens. I mean, we get every major tour that comes through Florida comes to Ritz most of the time. Millennium, just everyone. The only tour that I can't think that we've had in a long time is Excision. That's the only one. But he's past. He holds events past our maximum capacity, but he used to not. So that's like the only one that we don't really get. But it's been super cool to open for just like so many freaking artists. Like I've opened for Steve Aoki, I've opened for like all these people, and it's made me become like seasoned because originally, so it was the week before my 21st birthday when I like got like hired on at Ritz, and they put me on Saturdays, which was like more of like an open format house kind of thing. So I played on Saturdays for like 6 months, and I didn't like touch bass music. Like I wanted to play bass music. I would like, that was the music I was working on at home, like da da da. But I was like, okay, like put your time in so you can get to Fridays, do whatever. And like in that time I like learned about like all these different subgenres of house, like how to mix hip hop, how to do this, how to do X, Y, and Z. And then like when I finally got moved to Fridays, I like brought that with me, and I feel like that like brought a whole different aspect of like edits, mashups, like learning how to mix in my own stuff, learning how to like read a crowd. I've had emails sent to me an hour before I go into Ritz saying absolutely nothing over 130 BPM, absolutely no bass house, nothing with rap. If we hear you play X, Y, and Z, like from tour managers of like artists coming in. Granted, it doesn't really happen on Fridays, but like it'll still happen from time and time again. It's only happened probably like once or twice in the last year, but when I was on Saturdays, it would happen all the time. Or you get like a really big like bass name and they'll give you like a no playlist. Like obviously you don't play their music, but like they'll give you like a no playlist, and then they'll give you their set list, or they'll be like last 15 minutes, nothing over X BPM, nothing over this, nothing over that. So it's like made me be very like innovative on the spot and learn how to not only continuously read the crowd, but also make the team on the back end happy. And I've gotten actually a lot of opportunities from doing my job right, because there's like this whole like fuck it attitude. I hope it's okay that I'm cussing. There's this whole like fuck it attitude some up and coming artists have, where it's like, I'm gonna go as hard as I want. I'm gonna prove myself. Like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I think that's all good and grand, but there's a way to prove yourself with staying within the guidelines. And if you stay in the guidelines and you prove yourself and you still do your job, I'm telling you, the connections you'll make and the people that'll respect you, not only will they ask you to come back and open for them there, they'll ask you to come back and open for them in other places. And that's like the same thing that happened with me in Borgor. Like it's the same thing that has happened with me a lot of different places, where it's become my relationship with Ritz and my employment with Ritz has then become out of Ritz and become a personal relationship with me and my team. And, that's how we get like songs on labels or collaborations started, or can she join you on these 5 dates when you're in her region and she has XYZ draw. So it's cool. Ritz is really cool. I mean, it's definitely something I'm going to ride until I can't ride it anymore. It's like, from a realistic standpoint, it's basic income that I get every week for doing what I love to do, and it allows me to not work another job, which is something that like I couldn't be more thankful for. And they're really cool about me going to play other places, and like as long as I get it kind of like approved from them, it's sweet, and I really haven't had to say no to any opportunity that I've had on the sidelines while being at Ritz.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Lizzy Jane, there's many astonishing artists that influence the cultures of the Indian music industry. The fans want to know, was there any specific artists who inspired you into the bass and dubstep genre?
Okay, so my first EDM show was RL Grime when I was 18. And that was like a huge game changer for me. Somebody who, like, when I opened for him, there's only two people I've ever like fangirled over, and that was Troy Boy and RL Grime. And they happened 4 days apart from each other. And I just was like fainting everywhere. But it's like, I feel like it's like more of the attitude, not necessarily like the types of music. Cause like I'll look at RL Grime and I'll be like, he's everything that like visually, like very like aesthetically, like all of his production is very awesome. Like the thing that he does with his label is super awesome. Like the Halloween mix, like everything about his project is something that I aspire to do and like be like. Like eventually I want XO Radio to become the XO label, and like I know Weeknd already has it. I know the Weeknd, the R&B hip hop singer, he has an XO label, but it's just for him to be able to self-release. So we've like found ways around that. So we already have it like registered through Symphonic Distro, but like down the line, like I want that to be a label. So like I look at him and I'm like, okay, like a lot of his career moves are things that I really focus in on and are inspired by. But then I look at people like Nitty Gritty and I'm like, even though I really love bass music right now, like he's the epitome of what I want to do. Like I want to move into pop music. I want to move into like different types of releases that my fan base can strongly support, with it not staying in that bubble. And that does take time, and it is a little bit harder than sticking yourself into like a brand box and being like, okay, well, your brand sounds exactly like this music, and if you don't fit those two things, we're not going to support you. Because I've seen that happen with a lot of artists too. So it's like kind of like a slow, steady like climb up. And then I'd probably say, yeah, RL Grime, Nitty Gritty. Personal like artists that I really aspire to collab with or sound like, or like they motivate me in like learning, like everything from like mix downs to just like song structure, is like right now is like Chime, Oliver's, Frankie Nuts, Asora, Al5, Trivecta, like all those guys who are very like technologically, and like a lot of them play with a live instrument too, which is a live aspect that they bring to their show, which is something that like I already have done. Like I already have a live show done. So to like follow people like them, like Dabin, like Black Tiger Sex Machine. So it's like following the way that they operate and they write music is something that I study all the time. And then from a like full out bend, okay, who's like your like girl of the century, it would definitely be Alice in Wonderland, just because I can like totally see by the time I'm 34 years old having like an orchestra behind me and having like X, Y, and Z, and she really does like empower people in the right way. And I feel like she sets like just a really strong image that's not look based, and that's something I feel really strongly about, is like kind of everybody staying on the same playing field, and she's just done a great job at it. I mean, that's why she's Alice in Wonderland. I feel like she's just like hit it on the head, and she's someone who I definitely like. I'm like, okay, trajectory wise, like looking at like her Red Rock shows, or looking at how she like releases merch or does her like social media. It's someone who I like really kind of use as a reference point.
Powerful stuff there. Cool. And it looks like we're almost out of time here, so
Okay.
on a good note, my last question I have here: is there any special message you want to deliver to the EDM lovers watching here tonight?
Well, thank you for being here. I'm super stoked. I'm like really excited to share like some sets that are a little bit different than what I would like normally do, while still incorporating like my own music, obviously. Um, just to like stay strong during this time, and just like make sure you're supporting like the people around you that you care about. And it's really cool like how we've seen the community kind of come together in a way, shape, and form over these like live streams, where again, like you're not talking with the people in Tampa. You're like talking with the people in like Beijing and in New York and in here and in there. And like, sorry. And even though it might not be in like the best outlook, like we are all going through hard times, I think it's super cool how like you really look at it, and I've seen like memes, I've seen whatever, but it's everyone's like turning to some sort of art right now, whether it's Netflix or podcasts or live streams or Twitch or, you know, this or that. I think it's really special, and I hope we're able to like hold on to it after this is all over. I hope this all just doesn't disappear, because I feel like there's like an energy that isn't really cliquish or, you know, whatever, that hasn't really existed in this industry before. And everyone right now is like, how can everybody make money? How can everybody come together? How can everybody like perceive a better message for, you know, everyone to stay positive? And I feel like that's what we're doing. So it's cool.
Powerful stuff there, Lizzy. We appreciate you giving us your time and allow the audience to really get to know you and understand Lizzy Jane on a deeper level. Good luck at Sunset Music Festival. Hopefully.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm crossing my fingers. Oh my gosh, if Sunset happens, I would just be like the happiest person in the world. But we're gonna stay positive, and if not this year, then like I'm just gonna write as much music as I possibly can and release as much music as I possibly can, and we'll just move forward.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. It's my mother. Just a disclaimer. So yeah. Wait, can I hear you? Okay. Yeah, you're there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. She does this thing when she just calls over and over and over again until I pick up.
Yeah. All right. We'll go ahead and let you go. We'll see you late tonight in the live stream.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me. I will see you later. All right. Bye.